I'm Mary Pipino, and welcome to Fit for You, the show that teaches you how to live a healthier and more fit lifestyle. Today's show, we're going to focus on food and wine. I get so many questions. Is wine good for you? If so, what kind? I know so little about it. Today, we're going to hopefully give you all the information you need to understand how to enjoy a heart-healthy glass of wine with a fabulous meal. We're at one of my favorite restaurants, Michael Alberini's in Boardman, Ohio, and we'll be joined by Michael here in a few minutes. Michael is probably one of the most knowledgeable individuals I know about the grape, about wines, and about food pairings. So I hope you walk away after today's show with some great ideas of how you want to enjoy fine dining the European way, sipping your wine with some fabulous heart-healthy food. I decided that if we were going to discuss the healthy benefits of wine, it was very important that we had a physician and a wine expert. So I tapped into my very dear friends, Dr. Michael Lilius. As you all know from prior shows, Dr. Lilius is a board-certified doctor of internal medicine, a founding partner of Salem Internal Medicine, hospitalist for Prima Healthcare, associate professor of internal medicine at Neo-UCOM, and a hospitalist for the Surgery Center at Southwoods. I think I've covered most of it.
That makes me sound so important.
You are. It gets longer every time. And we are also honored to have Mr. Michael Alberini, a friend for many years. Michael, welcome. And when we do a tour of your wine lobby, we'll get a little bit more into your background, but 29 years experience in the food and wine industry. And you are a protege of your late uncle, Richard Alberini.
Absolutely.
Who was probably one of the most knowledgeable wine connoisseurs in our country. And I think we can have some interesting discussion, gentlemen. The thing I really want to touch upon in our conversation is, there's so much talk today about wine is healthy, which it is, but the key is drinking it in moderation, number one. Number two, the different effects on, men and women. And number three, get knowledge about, the different kinds of wines and how do you select, you go by what you like, what do the varieties mean? So let's start with Dr. Lilius. They talk about wine being so healthy for us. What's so healthy about it?
Well, actually the health benefits of wine date back to Hippocrates, the guy that's considered the father of medicine. And it goes back to, really what they saw as the health benefits were digestive issues for number one, and also for wounds, to help to take care of the wounds that were infected. They would pour the wine on the wounds to help the people to survive. And there was even some study I looked at that talked about the gladiators, that they talked about that they had a group, one of the physicians way back in the time of Hippocrates and that did a study where they had, here these gladiators got wounded, here these gladiators got wounded. Here on the wounds they poured wine, here they didn't. Well, the ones they poured the wine on the wounds, they lived. And
because
the ones
of
that they did,
sterilization effect?
Yes, absolutely. So that started the whole thing as far as wine. As time went on, people did more and more studies. Different physicians throughout the years did studies on wine and its benefits. And then we come to the 1990s. Now that's the whole thing about this French paradox. And Michael, you know about this, where they, talk about, the French, they eat high fat, high dairy.
Smoke cigarettes.
But yet they have less heart disease than we do.
It's amazing.
Well,
What is the problem?
Michael was telling us you were around 12 years old, you baby,
Yeah.
when I think at that time, and you were introduced. Explain to us how you were introduced about the French
That's actually
paradox.
how I personally discovered. I was cooking at my family's house, at my grandmother's house anyways, and usually we would adjourn and, they'd watch their 60 Minutes and the kids played or whatever, but we caught the one episode of 60 Minutes. And this was actually, I'd say it was probably in the early 80s. And they were talking about, there was an explosion of Merlot consumption in the United States. Merlot's a red grape. Back then, it was pretty much it was a blending grape oftentimes in Europe, and as it flourished in America and whatnot, it became like the great stepping stone when you took that step into red wine. It wasn't as dry as some red wines, it wasn't as hearty and robust as some red wines, but it's a great baby step into the realm of red wines as a first plateau. Well, they're talking about the Merlot grape and why people consuming it so much, and as Dr. Mike stated, they were talking about the French paradox. And consequently, how the French were outliving the Americans, just like Michael said here, and it was pretty amazing as they were talking about resveratrol, and resveratrol as an antioxidant or a chemical byproduct that is in red wine. Were protecting blood vessels and linings and things like that, whatnot, and again, allowing people supposedly to live longer because of consumption of red wine. Now, what you were talking about earlier, red wine in moderation. They say
Right.
You can drink, doctor, you can tell me, I think 2 to 3 glasses is what they say a day, where it'd be considered heart healthy, but at the same time, it doesn't mean you can abstain Monday through Friday and drink 20 on a Saturday night.
Exactly.
I so admire the Europeans, and one of the reasons is because I think they know how to appreciate and have such a passion for dining, enjoying food and wine in moderation. And my dear friend Michael Alberini is probably one of the finest experts in this area because you know how to make dining a pleasure. It's not about gorging yourself on huge portions of unhealthy food and drinking to the point where you cannot drive or stand up. It's about enjoying the experience. And I wanted you to help us today, help our viewers to understand how you make that happen. So let's start with, you walk into the lobby and you walk into this beautiful wine lobby, and explain to me what your concept was in setting this up.
Thanks, Mary. And you make a great point. People talk about dinner, and we're going to do dinner and a show, The European mentality and what we think about, and as a family-oriented person myself, dinner is the show, and wine is a part of that show, and from front to back. So a 1 hour dinner does not exist in my world. It's usually around a 2.5, 3 hour dinner, and that's whether I'm just with a guest, a friend, family, or whomever, and that's what it's all about. So when I built the concept of the restaurant itself, with all the wines, we offer about 500 plus wines by the bottle.
And I'm very impressed. Your wine list has 500 plus, and
we also have 30 wines that we offer by the glass, which is really nice. People that want to just try something different, and they're a little, leery of stepping into the pool of a different style of wine or whatnot, we afford them the opportunity to do that by providing taste, for nothing at the same time, but allowing the variety of selection for people. Also, a great
description.
Yeah, we do descriptions of all our wines.
So we have our crab avocado salad.
Yeah, I'm going to let Steve explain the dishes here.
The bed of lettuce is some shredded Napa cabbage with romaine and iceberg lettuce, also some shaved radicchio for a little bit of bitterness in there. We have some fresh avocado that we fanned out with 3 ounces of lump crab meat. This is swimming blue crab. Also grape tomatoes that we've gotten from local farms here. The dressing is a poppy seed white balsamic with some shallots, white balsamic vinegar.
This is homemade.
All our dressings are homemade.
And if I want a different dressing, I can substitute any dressing I want on my salads of your selection, correct?
Absolutely. And the first salad dressing was olive oil, lemon juice, and sea salt, you know what I mean? If you're looking for a healthy alternative, that's a great salad dressing you can go with.
And our second salad?
Again, we have a similar base. We have the Napa cabbage, romaine, and iceberg. We've tossed some scallions, cilantro, toasted almonds, and our free-range chicken in there. We've topped it with some shredded carrots, and we have our Asian dressing here. It's a sesame and honey-based dressing with some soy and just Asian flavors in there, ginger.
And the reason why I picked these two is because if you like seafood, you can have your crab and avocado. If you enjoy your chicken, there's a delicious free-range white chicken involved in the second. They look fantastic.
About how long does this dish take in general when you have all the products together?
General execution of this dish takes about 4 to 5 minutes, I would say. You know, just using high heat in a thin pan like this.
Something relatively easy to construct at home as well.
Absolutely.
We can throw the only things left to go on are...
We have our Szechuan sauce. It's, you look in the Asian aisle at the grocery store, you might find a fermented black bean sauce. Our Szechuan sauce is a basic black bean sauce, a little soy, a little sriracha, a little hot sauce. But
and the hot sauce is optional, depending on how spicy you want to make
we
it.
use just a very mild touch. You know, with the finished product of the dish, you really don't pick up much heat at all. It's just something to add, you know, balance to it. So we'll go ahead and add our sauce.
I noticed every time you add an ingredient, you stir. You just don't throw everything together.
We want to make sure that the product is cooked evenly, you know, incorporated well. If you just, you know, if you take the time to make sure it's all incorporated, then, you know, every bite's going to have that perfect balance of flavor.
Are we going to add the...
We're going to add the cilantro and scallions last. You really want to keep that brightness from the fresh herbs and the, you know, the little crispness of the scallions.
And the chicken piccata, I'm going to taste. It looks
The moment of truth, here
phenomenal.
we go.
Oh my God.
Chicken piccata actually be heart healthy and delicious. Does that work for you?
Absolutely, it's fabulous. I told you, I'm coming back later tonight for dinner. This is what I want to have. I might try it with the whitefish just because now I've had the chicken, but it's outstanding.
Very nice.